Hey friends, it's Tanya with Tinkering and Ink with Tanya, and today I am going to use some cat stamps to make 3 different cards. We are going to start out with one of my new favorite things to do with paper I don't really like the color of, and that is using it as a base for ink blending. I'm going to ink blend here with some wild honey, ripe persimmon, and my carved pumpkin ink pad that is re-inked with spiced marmalade. It is my favorite combination. I don't know why, it just is. About here, I'm realizing I am picking up a whole lot of ink on my fingers. So I use a little bit of Post-it tape to prevent me from making fingerprints all over my ink blending. And I'm just going to ink blend all of this together with the darkest shade in the middle, trying to avoid the candy corn look. I'm not really going for a candy corn look, just a little bit of ginger cat look going on here. Nice fall warm colors. And we're going to use a stencil set called Space Swirl Slimline from Trinity Stamps. And it's called a stencil set because there's 3 pieces or 3 parts, layers to this stencil set. This is the first layer that I'm going to use, and I taped the cardstock to the back of the stencil, and I'm just going to go over the stencil with the same colors I used when I blended the background. So for this layer I'm using the wild honey, and I'll just blend that over the entire panel. And I do make several of these panels. I don't show you all of those cards though. I used a different method of lining these up each time, and this is the best way. The stencils have etched lines in them, so you can line them up with the previous stencil. And I just laid it over the top of the smaller or the larger hold stencils and taped it down. One of the times I did this, I wrapped the stencil, or excuse me, the washi tape around from the front to the back of the stencil, so it wasn't actually taped to the cardstock, and that actually worked the best. So I'm using the carved pumpkin / spiced marmalade pad for that second stenciling, and I'll just take all the tape off and reveal the pattern that we created. I like how it's not real bold of a image on this background, which works well when you're going to stamp a bunch of cats all over it, or any other image for that matter. You want it to be a little more subtle. I did spritz it with some pearlized water, which is Perfect Pearls powder in the Perfect Pearl color, mixed in a bottle of water in a spritzer, and I just spritz over the top of this, and it just helps add a little bit of a blend to it. Now this is the cat set that I'm going to use. It's called Knitting from Hero Arts. Came out about this time last year, I believe. And I am going to take some VersaMark ink and take each of these 4 cats and stamp them 3 times on the background. And because it isn't white, you can see the cat's stamp on here pretty well. I am using the rule of 3 and the triangle approach here, so I'm doing 3 of each, just trying to do that triangular configuration. I am rotating these a little bit on this version. I do change that up a little bit in a different version of the embossed cats, and they all look good. Depends on what look you're looking for. These kind of look like they're spinning around with that swirl. And the reason I'm doing cats 3 ways is because I needed a card for a coworker that is cat themed. I'm using Brass Hero Arts embossing powder this time, and I lucked out. All of the embossing powder did stick only where I wanted it to. I did use a powder pal, but I did a whole lot of ink blending on this one. And apparently I did heat set it enough, use my heat tool to dry it well enough. And I am going to heat this with the heat tool to get the embossing powder nice and melted. And you can watch these cats all come to life. I love that they're doing a variety of things. I think my favorite is the cat with the scarf. I don't know. He just is so cute. And I think of it as a he. And believe it or not, this cat card is going to go, one of these cat cards is going to go to one of the male doctors that I work with. He has built a cat condo in his backyard for his cats. He didn't realize he was going to love cats so much. And I think a lot of cat owners can relate to that. Or spouses of cat owners. Now I'm using my favorite Honeybee Stamps A7 double stitched dies and the sentiment banners from Honeybee Stamps also. No, wait, that is not from the Honeybee Stamps. That is from Concord 9th, from their all the birthday stamps and dies. That is a pretty cool stamp and die set. Look at that. Look at all those ways to say happy birthday. And they have some beautiful dies to go with that. We're going to use this little tiny happy birthday that'll fit on that banner that I die cut using my little sidekick. Going to use my heat tool, or excuse me, my embossing powder bag. Stamp that with VersaMark ink, and then we're going to put some more brass embossing powder on this. Now this one did not stamp thoroughly. I did go back off camera and stamp several of these because I'm going to use this more than once on the 3 different cards that we're going to make today. Heat that up until it's nice and melted. And then I am going to move on to the HB. This is from the All the Birthdays die set. And I die cut those from Rose Platinum Mirror Card from Tonic. I've gotten a bunch of the Tonic papers lately, and I am loving all of it. They have wonderful mirror cardstock. There's a whole line of iridescent stuff. This one happens to not be one of the iridescent. This is just the Rose Platinum Mirror Card. It die cuts like a dream and is easy to adhere to things. I did use some coaster blanks and die cut those the same with the same die, and I just am adhering the die cut mirror card to the coaster board, or excuse me, coaster blank, along with the banner to add some dimension to this card. I have to have some dimension. I do. And this is so thin. It's like, I did get some questions recently about how thick it is. It is about 1/16 an inch thick. I get mine from the Katz coaster company. I do have a link in the description box of this video, or the bottom of my blog, depending on where you're watching this. That will take you right to the company that I purchased them from. And I still have some of the 4-inch squares. I use the lightweight version. But I did order a case of the rectangular ones. Those are also the lightweight. And that's what I use all the time. They are very inexpensive, and that is not an affiliate program for me. I do have them in my affiliate links, but it isn't something that I get reimbursed for. I just really love those coaster blanks. So this next step is where I actually ended up diverging into doing 3 cards instead of 1. I was going to stamp these cats just on the inside edge of the card. And I used the Ombré Autumn stamp, or excuse me, die ink pad from Hero Arts to stamp these inside the card. But my last cat didn't turn out so great. So I decided to cut that card base in half and make 2 panels and just go to town with stamping these all over the panels. And just make a background. It shifted just a smidge when I went to stamp it the second time. So here we go. I am making the second panel. I had already stamped the whole other panel, and this time I ink all of the cats at once, less opening and closing of the Misty, and I'm able to get 2 rows without moving the stamps. So I take this out and I flip it around and I line it up, just kind of eyeball to make sure that they're not going to overlap. And use that magnet to hold the cardstock in place again. And then with these ombre ink pads, you just have to do a little dance on the stamp. So you're moving it to this kind of twisting motion to blend it a little bit, so those colors, so you don't have a harsh line between the different colors, because there's 3 ink pad strips on that ink pad, and each strip has a different color of ink on it. And I do have to clean the stamps between moving them because I don't want to have smears on here. And then I just line them up again in alternating orders. And I'm able to get the last row on this one fairly quickly. And in my head, I have all kinds of ideas. I could have stamped this up probably 4 or 5 times and come up with 4 or 5 different cards. And I stuck with birthday for all of these, and of course they are 5x7 cards because there are so many people in my department that need to sign these cards. Maybe I should make an A2 size. I really want to do a slimline because I'm obsessed with slimlines right now, and I needed to pull back from doing slimlines because my stash of birthday cards for work was dwindling. And I'm telling you, there's a whole lot of fall birthdays in my department. I think September is a big month. There might be 9 birthdays in September. That's a big month. So yeah, I have to get going. It is September already. And this person's birthday is in the middle of the month. So I have just a few days yet before his birthday is happening. I'll have to drop this off at work to start getting signatures right like tomorrow. I don't work for a few days, but I'll have to take the risk of arriving at work when I'm not scheduled. They will try to put me to work. That's generally how that works. So I did put coaster blanks on the backs of all of these layers. Some of those are just scraps that I pulled out of my drawer. Usually I cut the pieces down, but to fit more solidly, but this works too. And my scrap drawer of coaster blanks is getting kind of full. This HB lines up pretty easily, so I used a gold embossed layer behind this one and matted a smaller A7 layer of the double stitched die along with the HB and the happy birthday banner on the front of this card. I love that mirror cardstock. It's that rich coppery color that is perfect with this color theme. I am now using the Celestial Copper Delicata ink pad. Now, metallic ink pads, I have a few of them, and not all of them provide a nice crisp image. The Delicata inks do. But you do have to re-ink them fairly often. So if you buy the ink pad, make sure you buy the re-inker. You will not regret it. The difference in the image is tremendous, as you're going to see in a second. Look at that. It's gorgeous. So I'm just going to stamp this little kitty in the bottom corner of the inside of each of these cards. I also have some stamp sets that have some really cute cat sayings or cat themed sentiments, but I'm not going to use those on these cards because I need all of that space for signatures. I'm telling you. So this is let's see, is this the last one? No, there's this one because this is a solid, the larger of the panels. Just going to do, this one's a little more simple. It has less layers. Going to put the HB and the sentiment banner on this one alone. You could really go to town with this. You could put a circle with different sentiments on here. You could just leave the front panel as is. You could do all kinds of things with this. I thought about putting some of my cute little cat themed sentiments on the front, but again, I need birthday cards, and there are a lot of cat lovers, in my family and at work. So I think these will be different enough that if I space them out, we can give them to more than one person. And then this one is going to also just have this panel with the HB and the birthday banner on the front. So I'm just going to adhere that to the card front. You'll have to let me know which of these cards you like the best. And do you like that swirl in the background? I really do. What would you like to see in the background instead? And can you imagine that background with each of those kitties colored in, stamped in black and colored in with Copic markers or Tombow or any of the Zig fine tip watercolor brushes, I think they're called. I don't have those. If I'm going to watercolor, I just use my watercolors. Let me know in the description box which card do you like the best and what would you like to see me do next. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please take this moment now to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you get notified of every video I do in the future. Check out my other social media accounts. I've got a list of those here too. And if you're interested in any of the supplies I've used in this video, check out the description box below where they are linked and listed. And for everyone that uses my affiliate links, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It helps me make more of these videos. Until next time, be safe, healthy, and happy. Bye-bye.